Hello, my name's George Cairns and I'm going to take you through a tour of my photo painting in Photoshop CC iBook, just to give you a flavour of the tools and techniques that are covered in the book. Here's one of the pages from the book, and as you can see it's interactive, so you can click to zoom in and get a better look at the type of textures and paint effects that you're going to produce. And there's a little intro there about that particular chapter. And you can go into chapter 1 here and have a look at the watercolor technique, which was created by just painting on layer masks with brush tips, and that creates a very realistic watercolor very quickly. Let's click again to zoom out. We've got a chapter on filters there in chapter 5, but most of these are using brush-based tools to actually paint over a photograph and to smear its pixels or reveal its colors and tones, which gives you a more personal looking painting than you'd get by slapping on a filter or two. More brushes here, where we're using erodible brush tips to create a pastel-like effect. So lots of different media there and lots of different Photoshop tools as well to learn. So let's have a look at a typical chapter. I'm just going to swipe to chapter 1. You get a before and an after version. You get a little intro and you can click to download the start image as well. Here's one I shot in Canada and I used that for the basis for my watercolor chapter. The next page in each chapter will show you an interactive screen, so you can get a little bit more information about the tools that we're going to be using in the chapter, such as brush presets. We can also look at this little pencil sketch effect we're going to create as well in this particular chapter. Double click to zoom out, and then you just swipe and start to get step-by-step instructions that enable you to produce this particular picture. So you can see there we're working through. You can double click to zoom in for a closer look. Go even closer actually on a Mac. Double click and click done to zoom out and continue swiping through. In chapter 2 we're building on the skills learned in chapter 1, but we're adding more detail on how to use bristle brushes. You can see the bristle brush tip there deforming as we're painting over the image there, so we're adding new tools to the technique started in chapter 1. And you've also got tips as well which give you more information about layer masks. Here you can see what's on the layer mask there, and the lighter strokes are enabling more colour to come through from the original photograph. The grey strokes are giving us weaker washes of colour. In chapter 3 we've got my favourite technique, the oil painting effect, using the mixer brush and bristle brush tips. And that enables you to paint over the image, and you can actually smear the paint into realistic paint type strokes using a variety of different tools and techniques. And there's lots of adjustments to make up here as well using the mixer brushes options panel. So there's loads of different things to learn in this chapter, and it's well worth doing the first 2 chapters before you start this one because it's a little bit more complicated. But the effect is probably the most painterly like in the entire book. You can see different layers have got different options there. We've got some rough strokes, delicate detail there, the white fur, the dark fur, and so on. Even the collar there has got its own layer to then build up the image as a painting rather than a photograph. And then you've got step-by-step guides with lots of tips to show you how to produce this particular effect. And the first 15 pages of chapter 3 are available as a free download from the iTunes store. So if you look for photo painting in Photoshop CC on iTunes, you'll be able to find this and download it, and you can start working through this particular chapter. I haven't put the ending in there, it's only the first 15 pages because I want you to buy the book. Chapter 4's got the pastel portrait, and that uses erodible brush tips that actually wear down as you draw, so you can get different types of pastel stroke. And you've got a little preview there as well, looking at different brush presets, mixed strokes, textures that you can create as well using the brush panel here. Lots of different things to learn in this chapter to build on the skills that you've learned in the previous chapters. And then it's very much step by step, so you can work through Photoshop and create stylized and personalized pastel strokes. Here you can see it's starting off thicker and it's eroding there as you paint with a pastel brush until it gets thinner at the end. And that's all created by modifying options here in the brush panel. And by modifying your brush tips, you create personal pastel strokes that are unique to you. As you paint over the image, you're going to produce results that are different to anybody else. So this is much better and more personal and more artistic than simply slapping on a filter. Talking of filters, I have to acknowledge that people do like them. So in chapter 5 we look at how to create this comic book effect using a combination of filters, blending modes, and so on. The filter gallery there is a very important place, and we'll spend a lot of time there in this particular chapter. So that's an overview of my photo painting in Photoshop CC iBook, which will work on a Mac or on an iPad, and you can run that together with Photoshop and work through step by step to produce a variety of different paint effects using a variety of different tools and techniques in Photoshop CC. And you can find more about photo painting in Photoshop CC by going to the book's Facebook page, which is facebook.com/photo painting. And there's a Shop Now button that will take you to the particular page you'll need in the iTunes store if you wanted to actually buy the book or download a free sample.